Hello, hello. I am excited. I wish I could go back. I can't go back, but I do want to show this because this is why we are here. Stories with Kishen, ordinary people with extraordinary lives, is back. And why are we back? Because it is requested. So I am so excited to share with you all this dynamic woman who is thriving, who is doing great things, who is an encourager. She is the person who sometimes just pushes me to the point that I think I'm about to break. But what I do want to do is, before I bring her to the virtual stage, is share a little bit about who she is. And I am going to cheat, but I thought I had it on here, but you know what? I'm going to read it nonetheless. So I want to read the bio of the person who I am going to be bringing to you because I think it's important to know who you are in the company with. Dr. MIchele D. Clark, LMSW, is a breast cancer thriver, a transformational speaker, best-selling author, podcast hostess, and life coach. Her life story of overcoming insurmountable odds and disseminating the message that women can recreate their lives through the power of positive thought and resilience has landed her the moniker of the hope dealer of the speaking industry. Dr. Clark's background consists of over 20 years experience in the mental health industry, a bachelor's of psychology and master's of social work, an honorary PhD in recognition of entrepreneurship and business administration, and certification in coaching and speaking. MIchele is also a mother, the mother of two, and she has survived 2 strokes, 1 TIA, and stage 2 breast cancer. After her own personal journey with breast cancer, Dr. MIchele birthed Lift, LIFT, After Breast Cancer LLC, to create a community that fosters authentic sisterhoods for high-performing female breast cancer survivors. Dr. MIchele is on a mission to empower women to live inspired, free, and transformed after breast cancer. I will allow you the opportunity to ask those questions of her or get more information about who she is at the end. But rest assured, we are bringing to the stage I won't say partner in crime, but definitely my partner in creativity. How does that sound? My partner in innovation. Here we have Dr. MIchele D. Clark. Welcome. Yay, you are here. And I'm so glad that you are here.
Thank you so much, Miss Kishen E. Newton. I am super excited to be here as well. Thank you so much for the invitation.
You know what? How could I say no? And actually, thank you for saying yes this week because you have an upcoming event in, what is it, 4 weeks now? 3 weeks?
Yes, a little less than 4 weeks. Yes.
Okay. Let's first of all, I gave the listeners the just the short version of who you are. But let's go a little bit deeper and talk about your where you are right now. You've overcome breast cancer, but let's talk about that a little bit. And you've shared on Stories with Kishen before, just some of the challenges that you face, or some of the not so, what's the right word that I'm looking for? I guess challenges is a good word because you started, this is not a journey that some people find out and then in a year they've gone through all treatments, they have reconstructive breast surgery. That's not your story. So let's talk about it. Let's do a timeline so people can see why this is so important and why you are a thriver in this space.
Yeah, absolutely,
I can't
absolutely.
hear
Thanks so much, Keisha. And just for some of you who may not know who I am, can you hear me okay? Okay, cool beans.
you. Yep, there was
So
a
for those
delay.
who
You're
may
good.
not know me, okay. All right. Awesome sauce. So you know what? I heard the accolades at the beginning. I truly appreciate that in the bio. And the thing is just, I'm really just a small town girl with big time dreams who God has shown his grace and his mercy. And he saved me from some life threatening things. And, sometimes when things happen, we think it happens to us. It actually happens for us so that it can go through us. So then we can reach back and help somebody else. And when I'm talking about that something, I know Keishan talked about how I had stage 2 breast cancer. And my journey was very rocky, you all. So, yes, timeline wise, I first received the message that I had breast cancer from my primary doctor, a phone call stating, you have breast cancer, right? And it was like, huh? No, but okay, what do we do next? And that was in 2015. And a few months later after that, it went really quickly, you all. I didn't have a whole lot of time to think about it. And we had the mastectomy of the left side. And I thought maybe we could spare, and it wasn't the case. Meaning sparing, it's something called like nipple sparing or skin sparing, and they weren't able to do any of that. I got a second opinion, and it was confirmed that I had to lose my left breast. So that was in 2016 of January, and I found out in September of 2015. So I got a second opinion in November, and so it just went boom, boom, boom. And I'm thinking, okay, well, we're going to do the immediate reconstruction. Well, unfortunately, they found cancer in my lymph node. So they were not able to do immediate reconstruction. So we had to go through, when I say we, me, had to go through radiation therapy as well as preventive chemotherapy, which I am still on to this day. We have to do 10 years of preventive chemotherapy. So very daunting, if you will. Thereafter, it was planned for me to go through with the breast reconstruction surgery after my skin and body had healed up from the radiation therapy. Unfortunately, again, that was not the case. That wasn't my story. Not too long after I had the radiation therapy, completing that, I had a mini stroke. So that delayed my process. That was in 2017. It's 2017. And it was difficult, but you know what? I'm not a stranger to traumas and tragedies, unfortunately. But I shouldn't say unfortunately. I should say fortunately, because after each one, I became sharper and almost, you know what, Kishen, at some point I felt like I'm titanium. Like I can't be shot down. I can't be brought down. And but in that moment though, when I realized I had to wait even that much longer for the reconstruction process, because you have to wait till you get a certain amount of weight out from the strokes before they would put you under what they consider an elective surgery.
Yeah.
Now, I want to put a bookmark right there, real quick, because they say elective surgery, but for me, it wasn't elective. From the moment that I found out that I had to have the mastectomy, and they told me that there was the option to reconstruct, I planted my flag on that. I'm like, okay, great. This is what's gonna get me through all this, right? So okay, we go through all the mastectomy, we go through all the radiation therapy, we have to heal the skin and all that kind of stuff. And okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. Nope, not the case. Boom, mini stroke. Now I have to wait because they wouldn't do the procedure because there were certain medications that I was on that was life sustaining from the stroke. Okay, I do want to live, so we'll stay on those and just wait a little while to get out past that. So fast forward 2019, finally I was allowed to have the reconstruction surgery. We started the process. And unfortunately, because one of the areas that what they did was when I reconstructed, they did a latissimus dorsiflap, meaning they took a portion of the muscle, the latissimus muscle from my back, spliced it, flipped around to the front to make a pocket. Because the skin over the area and the muscle was compromised from the radiation therapy, they wanted to make sure they had an area of healthy skin tissue and muscles that could hold the implant. Well, that area, there became a tear where it started to unadhere from each other, from the skin that where they did the surgery. And so with that, they had to do a slower process. So I said all that to say this, you all. They had to do a slower process of expanding. So when they put the expander inside of me, they would inject saline into that area to expand the area so that way the implant would fit in that pocket. Because I don't know about you all, but when they told me I could reconstruct, I was like, oh no, we're not going back to the same size. I'm going to upgrade me. I'm like, I'm going for more, because just a quick sidetrack. When I was younger, I used to get teased a lot about my size.
Yeah.
When I was 12 years old, I started puberty, and that's pretty much where it ended. And so I didn't get much bigger than I was when I was 12. And it was a sore spot for me. I didn't find it as problematic until I started getting teased about it. And I'm talking about nowadays, they probably would call it bullying. And it was
Mm,
so traumatizing to me that I almost started to have this love, hate, and more hate relationship with my breast,
yeah. Yeah.
because it was such a source of contention isn't even the word. I don't even know if they have a word in English language to describe how I felt, but I was tormented. And
And it
so,
goes both ways too, because I know people who were larger and got teased. So people
yes,
are just cruel no matter how you look at it, but they never consider the person who's the receiver of the bullying.
absolutely. A
Yeah.
100%, Kishen. And I'm so glad you did bring that to light because, working with different and being in a community with different breast cancer survivors and thrivers, I like to call us, I do hear that, especially those who may had to have a lumpectomy instead of mastectomy and then have to go through all the identity shifting with that and the esteem and the self-image, all of these things, right? So it doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on, there can be some challenges as a result of having any kind of life-threatening illness,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And being on the side of ridicule, without even having that as a critical illness as a trauma. But with that, I mentioned that because that was one of the things I was like, okay, so when we reconstruct, I don't want to just go back to what was. I do
Right.
want a little bit larger. Now, I'm not talking double D's, you all. I wanted to still be in proportion of my body. And it's not to say
Yeah.
anything about anybody who does decide to do more. This is just my personal journey, right? There are women who are absolutely beautiful who decide not to reconstruct. This is just my personal journey. And
Right.
so
And
with
I'm glad you said your personal journey, because people will cast judgment, and why don't you everybody has their own journey, their own story. So I'm glad that you said that, because it's not going to be the same for everybody.
it will not.
And so, but I do want to mention as you, uh, wrap up the timeline. I want to, I do want to bring into this thriving that you're doing in this space now, because you've been all over the place. But go ahead and finish that up, and then we're gonna jump into that.
Yep, absolutely. So just to fast forward the story. So in 2019, they started the expansion, started to leak. They had to slow down the process. So because they slowed down the process, they had to access the port more often. Then it started to leak. So they had to remove the expander. Well, guess
Yeah,
what? They did that on March 9th of 2020. Guess what came next?
COVID.
COVID shut all surgeries down. The very next day after my post-op surgery, they cut down all surgeries.
Mm,
So I
yeah,
had to wait again in the waiting. So finally, fast forward, I felt more comfortable going back into the hospital and into an OR situation in 2022. So I contacted the people and scheduled the surgery for March 23rd, 2023. Went there, super excited. The surgeon marked me up, had my cap and gown on. I called my cap and gown because I was going to graduate on the other side, only for them to say, we're sorry you didn't pass one of the tests. you have to put your clothes back on and you have to leave.
Let's stay there for a minute,
Please.
because I can only imagine you have mentally prepared yourself to get through. And I just posted the other day about going through a challenge. Some people, they'll say, forget it, I'm done. This is not supposed to happen. I'm just going to wrap it up and forget about it. But
Mhm.
you didn't. But in that moment, what was going through your mind?
Kishen, in that moment, I was devastated.
Mm.
I was absolutely devastated. I was in shock. I was in disbelief. When I saw the look on the nurse's face as she was walking over to me, I was like, mm-mm, 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 don't, nope. I
Wait,
was
what do you
I was like,
mean?
nope, no, 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 not, don't come with me with that face. So I already knew what was about to come next, but I just didn't want to receive that. And even hearing the words, I didn't want to receive that. And I appreciate the fact that she did it in a compassionate way,
Okay.
but I still couldn't receive it.
So you because I remember the post, you're like, this is it, I'm going through.
Yep.
And when I saw, I'm like, something happened. What happened here? So I can only imagine the letdown, the extreme disappointment. I don't know. I probably would go into maybe a state of, I won't say depression, but possibly, because my mind would have been set on, I'm about to get over this. It's sort of like the bow on the gift. This is it.
Yes.
I'm done with this whole process. But that
Yes.
didn't
Icing
happen.
on the cake.
Yeah. So
And yes, I was an emotional wreck
mm,
for a while.
yeah.
And yes, I walked everybody through. I did a live. I was on Instagram. I was on Facebook. I was on LinkedIn. I was everywhere. I was on YouTube. I was, Savoir fairs everywhere. I was everywhere, right? And at a homecoming, a theater coming to you, right? I was everywhere, mapping my journey because I wanted people to come with me. I want them to experience it with me. And so then to have to,
Why was that important for people to
yes,
experience it with you?
yes, it was important for me because, and this is quite a detour, but when I was growing up, we didn't really talk about, and I know a lot of communities, being a licensed therapist and a life coach, and when I go through people's history with them, and I may ask them things about their biopsychosocial, and we talk about health history in general,
Mm-hmm.
people don't know. Same thing with my family. A lot of things were just like this taboo. We didn't talk
Yeah.
about it. They didn't call cancer cancer. It was called the big C.
Mm.
Diabetes was just called sugar. You got the
Yep.
sugar. All right. So we had these different ways of approaching things or not talking about it at all.
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember my grandma when we used to go to her house, and there used to be like this little thick smog of smoke because she used to smoke. And I
Mm.
remember she had her smokes in this little pouch, and then she had her ashtray, and she would sit on, and I remember in a reclining chair, and we have a good time. And then one day there was no smoke, there was no ashtray, there were no little pack that she carried her smokes in. And I was like, well, what happened? And then I noticed that she used to put this insert of this padding in her bra. And one day I saw her when she disrobed, and I was like, where is it? Where is her
Oh,
breast? And it was her
right.
left breast. Where's her left breast? Where is it? It was gone. No conversations. Nobody ever said, your grandma has breast cancer. We didn't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was so important for me to be transparent. And again, this is my journey. Everybody doesn't have to do this. But it was my journey, it was my calling to be transparent because I wanted people to walk with me. Because there's
Right.
somebody out there right now who is suffering in silence and solitude. And they
Mm-hmm.
need to know that you need to know, whoever you are, you need to know that you are not alone. I'm in this with you. And so I wanted to take those people, I want to take, and even because, when you broadcast something, it's on there forever. So somebody might stumble
Right.
upon my broadcast years and years later who's saying, you know what, I'm in this by myself. Yes, I have family. Yes, I have friends. Yes, I have community, and they all are with me, but they've never had breast cancer.
Yeah.
They never had a mastectomy. They never had reconstruction.
Yeah.
So it was so important for me to be that open book so that I can let the light shine and be that beacon of light for somebody else who is lost and looking to find their way.
That is so commendable, because even today, people are still kind of private about some things. They don't want to disclose. And I think that's a perfect segue into your upcoming brunch, which I'm looking forward to. So let's talk about that. And I did put the link in, I'm going to show it as well, where people can register. And there is an early bird registration that people can participate in as well. But talk about this upcoming brunch, because I'm looking forward to it. So let's segue into that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kishen. You know what? I'm super excited. I mean, just flat out excited about March 23rd of 2024. So I know I told you all about what happened to me and what I experienced and what happened for me. So now it can be through me, because in that delay, you all, in that pause, I was able to pause in my pain. 1 year ago on March 23rd, 2023, I had to pause in my pain. But because of that, I was able to pull out my purpose and my passion. And that's how I birthed Lift After Breast Cancer on 10/10, 2023. So that's October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month at that, right? Birth Lift After Breast Cancer. And then decided to turn that date of March 23rd from devastation and transform that into celebration. And so we are going to have an all-out celebration, elevation, transformation brunch. So it is in person, but it's also virtual. So if you say, you know what, man, Michele, I wish I could fly to Michigan, but I can't. Well, listen, we're not going to leave you out in the cold. Or you say, oh man, Michele, I wish I was a woman, because it's women only in person. Oh, I wish I could attend. We're not going to leave you out in the cold. You can still participate and be a part of this grand celebration virtually from the comfort of your own home. So that was the importance of this day. Because some people said, well, you know, it's kind of aggressive to put together this kind of event in such short notice. Listen, let me tell you something. When it was placed on my heart, and yes, I'm going to say it, because, you know, everybody has a different light. Everybody has a different source. My source is God. And God put it on my heart to have this event, to transform it from devastation to celebration. And I didn't listen, Kishen. I did drag my feet, because I got this revelation like around December-ish. And I was like, oh, you know, really, God, like, you want me to do this in this short amount of time? So yeah, I questioned it. Yes. So it's like, okay. And once I started, I'm telling you, things just started falling into place. And I just say this, you all, whatever your source is, when you're given that vision, trust that you will also be given the provision to see it manifest.
Yeah.
You're not too small. Because I thought to myself, well, you know, it's just little old me. I'm too small. No, listen, small hinges swing big doors.
That's good.
Somebody might want to write that down. Small hinges
Right.
swing big doors. It only takes one. It only takes you. And so it only took me. And then from there, you know, you get the outpour of people who want to help, just like Kishen, you know, who say, you know what, I want to help you in your mission. I see your vision. I see what you're doing. It's a worthy cause. And I'm telling you, I don't know anything more worthy. Of course, I'm biased, but I don't know anything more worthy than celebrating breast cancer survivors and supporters. Because without you supporters, I'm telling you, it'll be that much harder for us as survivors to thrive.
So what can, for those who are interested or not, because they don't know yet what to anticipate, what can they expect? What can someone expect by attending this brunch? So give us an appetizer.
Yes, so like a little teaser. Yes, absolutely. Well, one thing for appetizer, when you said appetizer, first thing came to my mind was brunch. You know, brunch, absolutely. So it's going to be at the Great Lakes Culinary Center. It's fabulous. I mean, it was carefully chosen.
And what's
fabulous? Yes. Oh, in Detroit. Excuse me, in Southfield. So in the Detroit metropolitan area, but it's in Southfield in Michigan. and just a wonderful, wonderful place to hold it. And with that, you're going to hear a little bit more, a little bit about my story. You're going to hear a lot about the vision of Lift After Breast Cancer. This is like an awakening, but this is when we say elevation. So this is the transformation and opening celebration of my business, of the launch of Lift After Breast Cancer. In addition to that, we're going to have activities that's going to celebrate the life of breast cancer survivors and celebrate support those who are supportive of us as well. So we'll have some nice, fun activities. We're going to have some giveaways. I love giveaways, right? So yes, we'll have some giveaways. I know, absolutely, right? So it literally is going to be fun, food, folks, and fun. And not only will people be fed physically, but we're going to do some elevating, some transforming of the mind. So yes, I know I got a little bit serious with that tone because it is serious for me because of the fact that I know that as a breast cancer survivor, many of us contend with these shoulds, musts, and oughts, and being confined and constrained to the standards of beauty of those who haven't experienced the things that we've experienced. And it is my vision for us to break free from that, to not conform to those standards, but to change them. So that way, each and every person, each and every woman who has experienced breast cancer, whether you choose to reconstruct or not, whether you had a mastectomy, a lumpectomy, or whatever, radiation therapy, so that you know that your beauty is enhanced because of what we've been through. We are the standard of beauty. Yes.
For sure. But let me ask this question.
Yes.
Because this is coming up fast and furious. Registration is currently open.
Yes.
There is a limited time for the early bird special. So
correct.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. Now, of course, they can go to the bit.ly Lift After Breast Cancer Brunch to actually get more information. But how much is it? How much is it? And then for those who have the early bird, of course, it won't be that amount. So what is the current amount?
Yep. So it's $125 for in-person attendees and only $35 for virtual attendees.
Okay.
And yes, for the early bird special, though, you all, it's not only $125, it's only $97. That's it. Only $97. Yes, to attend in person and be a part of this fabulous celebration and this worthy cause. And for our virtual attendees, we're not going to leave you out too. We're not going to leave you out, right? For our virtual attendees, the early bird special, it's only $25. That's it. That's less than a cup of coffee a day. And I'm not talking about Starbucks. I'm talking about gas station coffee.
Right. So how long is the early bird?
Yep. So the early bird is only until March 15th.
Oh, so this could potentially sell out with just the early bird.
That is absolutely correct. Yes, it is. And our numbers are increasing. So make sure that you take advantage of the early bird special and that you get your seat, because we do have a limited amount of tickets available. So make sure you get yours ASAP for in person. It is limited seating for in person. And once we reach that max, once we're sold out, we are sold out. There will be no extensions, no additions. I know how sometimes people say, oh, sold out, but wait, there's going to be an extension or we're going to have another day. There's not going to be another day. There's not going to be another, the concerts. No. Not going to be another day. Not going to be any seats added. Once it's sold out, it's sold out. So we would love to see each and every one of you all in person for ladies. And of course, our virtual audience is expanded for everyone.
I love it. So you mentioned activities. And of course, food, because I instantly got hungry. Can you give a little sneak peek of what type of, I don't want to say activity, but what what is atypical at this event that you don't find at other events?
So, when I do speaking and when I write articles, I always like to leave the audience with something actionable so that way they can ingest and digest and then transform that and implement it into their own lives. I don't know if you've ever gone to any other events, and I've been to so many, I can't even count. And sometimes you leave and you're inspired and you're like motivated and you're like, yes, I'm amazing, I'm awesome, that was great, I'm filled up. And then you leave and then life happens, you're like,
You get the deflated, you're like,
right? And because that happens. That happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to give each person, in person and virtual, something actionable that you can take with you and implement that day and days after. So when you find yourself coming down from that emotional high, that rush, that now you can have something to stabilize you and keep you, of course, until the next event. Because this is our inaugural. This is our inaugural. So this is our first annual celebration, elevation, transformation.
I don't know, and maybe because I'm not in that space of any event. Well, yeah, do I know one? I've not attended it, but from what I gather from your event that's coming up, because I've been on the other side that people don't know about, just being in those conversations, I think it's a must attend because of the opportunity to come together collectively, whether you yourself have experienced breast cancer, but rest assured, I believe everybody has, within a certain 1 or 2 degrees of separation, know either somebody who's had it, they've had it, a family member, or a friend or coworker. And just to be in that space, to even if you're not a person who has experienced breast cancer, but somebody has, just to be a little empathetic in that moment, because you don't know what they've experienced, you don't know what they've gone through, you don't know the traumatic effect that it has on the body, the psyche, and then also your faith. Your faith could be tested in this, but you're going to be addressing all of those pieces at the brunch.
Absolutely. And you know what, Kishen, I'm glad you mentioned that part about if you are a non-survivor, and we call those people supporters, right? So if you are a supporter, you haven't experienced it firsthand. I literally wrote an article on LinkedIn today about that. I literally, because every day I wrote 20 articles for the for Black History Month for February, highlighting a prominent, high performing African-American female who has experienced breast cancer. And I'm telling you that prior to experiencing breast cancer myself, it's likened to watching a game as opposed to playing in the game. And I wish, and I say this loosely, but I wish I could turn back the hands of time. Yeah. And I wish that I could have been more attentive and more supportive. Yes, I've done some Relay for Life prior to getting breast cancer, but I didn't go all out. I didn't go all in. I didn't volunteer my time, my services. I didn't do a lot of the things that I could have done to further advance the cause for breast cancer.
Yeah.
I donated some money. So there were some things that I did do, but there's a whole lot more things that I could have done as a supporter. So don't sleep on supporters, y'all. Supporters are so necessary to help advance the cause and help to provide that comfort and that solace to those of us who have walked the breast cancer journey.
Wow. I'm so glad that you shared. I have the information scrolling along the bottom. Again, There is an early bird special, which means that if you pass that special, you are going to be paying a different amount. So I am going to,
And again, that's
there,
if we don't sell out. So
that
don't
part.
don't wait. We may sell out. Don't wait.
Yeah, I wouldn't delay on this one, only because I know some of what's happening behind the scenes that's already in the planning stages, the commitments that have already been made, some of the prizes that people will receive. It if you've not attended an event that celebrates survivors, um, this might be your first one. I encourage you to take that leap of faith. And sometimes people don't want to talk about it, but I like how you walked into it. You're leaning into it. You're embracing it because it's like, okay, I'm running this race and I have my victory flag. So that's what I think of. But don't sleep on this. The information is scrolling along the bottom. Dr. MIchele D. Clarke, what final words would you like to share with those who are wondering whether or not they should attend the event to just get them locked in?
Absolutely. I would say my thing is that if you've ever gone through any kind of, I don't even call it a situation. Sometimes we don't want to call it a tragedy, and that's fine because our words matter. Our words have powers. Words are things, and things manifest.
Right.
So, but if you've ever been through anything that you feel could have potentially stifled your forward momentum, and if you've ever been through anything that has done just that, I would say that this is the time to come together to the celebration, elevation, transformation brunch. Because when we say LIFT, LIFT is an acronym and it stands for living, inspired, free, and transformed. Living, inspired, free, and transformed. So if you've gone through anything, and if you're currently right now going through something, or know someone who has, this is the event that we're going to help to elevate you. We're going to celebrate and we're going to elevate and transform. We're going to lift you up so that you can live every day like it's your last. I'm talking about living life and living it more abundantly. Being inspired past the moment of motivation, because motivation wanes and inspiration stays.
Yeah.
And then free yourself from all these constraints, from the must, shoulds, and oughts, the things that we should do, must, ought. No. You get to define you.
Mm-hmm.
So be free to be who you are. And then transform. Take what you've learned, what you're going to learn at the celebration, elevation, and transformation. Take what you've learned and now radiate outwards. Take your purpose and your passion so that way you can live in your promise.
Say that. Say that. Okay. Well, Dr. MIchele D. Clarke, I want to thank you so much. I have included in the comments the link to register. Get your tickets today. Get your tickets now. If this is hashtag replay, get your ticket. Don't sleep on this. You want to be there. And this is the first, this is the inaugural. That means next year, you'll hear about what happened this year if you don't make it. So again, Dr. MIchele D. Clarke, thank you so much for your time. And I'm looking forward to helping you out. I'm looking forward to attending as a supporter. And again, I'm gonna leave it at that. I want to leave a cliffhanger. So if you want to see both of us in the place, then make your presence known by clicking on the link that's in the comments. So that is all that I have to share. I am Kishen, your human resource, but this is Stories with Kishen, ordinary people with extraordinary lives, featuring Dr. MIchele D. Clarke, LMSW. She is the founder of Lift after breast cancer. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.